Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to week 5. Okay, typography, week 5. We are really have a great week coming up here. But before I go through week 5, I want to talk about week 4. You guys are good. You're a good group. Boy, this group is really active, and I'm loving it. I mean, I'm loving it. I look forward to going to the discussion boards every day because you guys are doing some really good stuff. Not to mention the design work and the ideas and what you guys are doing and how you're learning typography, and it's good. You guys are a good group. Please keep it up. We're almost there, but good job, guys. Good job. Okay, week 5 is really super interesting because after week 4 we work with type and image, right, and creating these weird juxtapositions using scale and placement to make the relationship between type and image that much more interesting. And it works. We've seen it. It works. And those of you who have already turned in your second iterations, they're superior to the first. So it works. And you can cultivate these really, really cool techniques relatively easy. And as we are seeing in week 4 work in the first and second iterations. Week 5 is super interesting because, well, let's take a look real quick. I want to take a look at this overview real quick. And what are we doing in week 5? It's typographic message. We are creating, we're almost thinking about creating image with type. We're communicating deeper than a verbal level using type. We're using type as art, and that would be a good way to look at it. So let's jump back here and jump over to this week's presentation, the typographic message. This is a fantastic, and you guys remember a couple of weeks ago I said you guys are in for a treat because this class is so well written. Where did I go? Hang on one second. Okay, because this class is so well prepared. Last week, and those of you looking at last week, thinking about last week's resources, just really incredible. You know, these presentations, typographic presentation, typographic and paragraph formatting, and then as well as the interaction of word with image. Just really fascinating stuff. This week is no exception. Presentation is the typographic message, evocative typography, signs, symbols, and semiotics. Don't get nervous. It's not a real deep dive into semiotics. It's not. We're going to look at the basics, which will give you a really nice foundation to start to beginning to understand semiotics and sign making along with you know, with our intended message. Okay, I'll show you some examples in a second. But this typographic message, oh, what happened there? Ooh, you see that? Okay. That would be week 5 final project. I'm sorry, typographic message. Where is that? Here it is, right here. Here's the presentation itself. Please read this, guys. And then when you're done reading it, read it again. And then when you're done reading it again, read it a third time. And I guarantee you, I'm not joking around. I'm serious. Read it 3 times. You'll pick things up that you didn't pick up the first time. Semiotics, connotation, denotative meaning, types, symbols, signs. Semiotics is not an easy thing to wrap your head around, but the basics are very simple. You just kind of have to. It's, you know what? The first time you read it, it's like that guy with the shells, with the marble under the shells. Which one is it under? And then you just gotta have to follow this thing a few times, and then you'll go, oh yeah, I totally get it. So I will say that there's a couple of things that we can look at in terms of connotative and denotative meaning and types and styles. You know, we looked at the stop sign and how the stop sign is lacks connotative meaning because basically you see that red stop sign. It basically means one thing. It means stop your vehicle or stop your movement. Okay. And then we look at something like a yellow circle and how that has abundant connotative meaning because a yellow circle could mean many things. It could mean gold. It could mean the sun. It could mean a brighten somebody's mood. It could mean, you know, think about it. A gold circle could mean many different things while the stop sign could only mean one. It's basically stop your vehicle. Now, can we cross those lines and can we turn a stop sign into a connotative meaning? Absolutely. That's, as designers, how we use these meanings to create message. Okay, so that's really important stuff. Think about that and read through this. Please read through it a couple of times. It's really, really important because our discussion board is definitely right here. I mean, you've got to understand this in order to successfully complete your initial submission for this week's discussion board. Pretty easy stuff, and I just want to draw your attention to this. This is really a great example of how we talk about using type as symbol. Okay, these are the football plays with X's and O's. And you take that X right there, you move it right there, and create the word exhilarate. Really fascinating stuff. 7, you remember that movie? Remember the opening sequence for that? One of the best motion type sequences ever. If you haven't seen it, Google it and watch the title sequence for the movie 7. It's phenomenal. Okay, let's mother and child, her blue bellin. This is type as symbol. Okay, the mother and child. The O acting as the womb, the ampersand acting as almost a silhouette of it's fascinating. Take a look at it. Take a close look at it. This is great. This is Paul Rand. It's a logo, Morningstar. See the sun rising? Good stuff. And just like I'm saying, this is David Below. His name is below. So he, instead of having people fumble around his name, he created his logo to pronounce his name, below. Below. Oh, I see. Below. David Below. You'll never get it wrong. Twice, pentagram design right there. This is phenomenal. Pivot design. If you turn that over, the word design is using the D. That's a neat one too. So anyways, the idea here is using type as symbol. Okay, so let's jump over to our, let's talk about the final project. Let's talk about the final project. Where is it? Final project right here, part 1, Nobel Prize, poster, research, thumbnails. Okay, the final project for this it's a poster. It's a 2-sided poster, 11 by 17, 2 sides. Okay, what are you going to do in this poster? The Nobel Prize, you're going to pick a Nobel Prize laureate. And Nobel Prize laureate is just somebody who has won the Nobel Prize. And here's a website that you can go to and just follow these instructions. It tells you how you can do some really in-depth, deep dive research into your chosen Nobel laureate. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose one Nobel laureate through history and do some complete research through this site right here. Explains how right here. And then when you do, here's what when you're done researching, you're going to do this. And this is the final project that is due at the end of the session. We'll be working on it for the rest of the time. The mission of this design of the poster is multifaceted. You must announce who the person is through some typographic design of their name. This must appear on the front of the poster, okay? You must include a biographical information about your individual in the form of paragraphs for the viewer to read. This must be on the back, okay? Then you must have a timeline that breaks down your laureate's winner's achievement and or history. That timeline must be on the back of the poster. I'll summarize these in a second. Timeline breaks. You must include a timeline. Timeline's on the back. You must include a subhead tagline that supports the person in some way. Example, Eli Wiesel, literature of memory. In this case, literature of memory acts as a subhead or a tagline. So that's what you would do. You would add a subhead or a tagline, and that will appear on the front. Okay. Then this is just saying that all of your choices regarding type, color, and shape must all really loan themselves to the concept of the piece itself. So in other words, you're creating harmony through type, image, layout, and concept. 5 colors. Make sure the colors are relevant to the topic. For example, if you're picking someone who is a Nobel Peace Prize, you may not want to use the color red, because red usually typically indicates anger and more excited states. So in order to, conversely, if you have somebody who's maybe a environmentalist, you might want to use earth tones as your colors. Okay, so think about it. Photographic imaging may be used with the Nobel laureate, and his or her picture must appear on the back of the poster. So again, as I said, in summary, here's what we have. The front of the poster, you have the name, the subhead, or the tagline. So you have the name of the person and the subhead. On the back, you have the biographical information, the timeline, and the picture of the laureate. Okay? Now, and then optional, you may wish to use the subject associated with the Nobel laureate on the front. Okay, and this, I'll show you an example of this in a second. And it's this insulin poster. We'll take a look at an example of that. And that's basically saying you may not want to use the name of the person who created insulin because nobody knows that name anyways. So you might as well introduce the poster as insulin. Then you can introduce the people who invented it. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? And then here's the milestone. This is your checklist for the rest of the session right here. Okay, week 5, 6, 7, and 8. It tells you exactly what you have to do. Parts 1 and 2 this week. Next week's 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, now here we have. We've got this example of student work. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. It's before and after. I don't know why they call it before and after, but here's the name of the person. I'm not sure what that name is. It's Jalan Adams. And then there's the subhead or tagline right there. So that's 11 by 17, and then we can see the back side of that is created in harmony with the front side, and we've got everything that we needed on the back side of the poster. That's the biographical information, those paragraphs, the timeline right here, and the picture of the laureate. Okay, and then this is interesting. They decided to introduce that Nobel laureate by their signature. That's an interesting take. So that's really interesting. And then here's both together, front and back. Okay, here's another example. This one is Linus Pauling. Front and back, and then front and back together. Note the harmony, just gorgeous, gorgeous harmony. You could look at the front of this and the back of this, and you could at different times or on 2 different tables and say that definitely belongs with that. It's that got that strong harmony. Next, we take a look over here, and this is a really good one. So it's giving some clues. All right, almost drawing the viewer into turning the poster over to look at the back and find the layout is also very harmonious. It's very harmonious with the front, not only in terms of color, but in terms of layout and the general feel as well. Okay, and then I'm running out of time here, so I'll try it quickly. This is a square format, so that wouldn't be indicative of the format that we're looking for the final, but this is one of my favorite ones, insulin, and this is what I was talking about instead of using the people who invented it. And actually, I think, yeah, they did use the tagline. That's the people who invented it. And there's a tagline over here. But notice how the word insulin is presented. And then the designer used red type, and the way they oriented the red type makes it look like the I in insulin. They removed the top serif and added this type here to look like the needle. So this looks like a syringe. Isn't that clever? That's just really, really good design. And then there's the back. Okay, and then note that needle sticking up. Remember that? Notice that is carried through the back and carried through the timeline. Very, very good design. Okay, so that's what I have, guys. And I didn't mean to go this long, but that would be the introduction. That would be the introduction to the week, as well as the discuss. Oh, we didn't talk about the discussion board, which we really don't have to. It's just, in your own words, explain the relevance of denotative and connotative meaning to the design, or how does understanding the importance of these terms affect the designer's ability to communicate messages. And I would expect that you take bits and pieces right out of the lecture for that, this lecture on denotation and connotation and semiotics, etc. So try to read this, definitely read this before you try to answer that discussion board question, because otherwise it will be painful to try to answer that question without some prior knowledge. Okay, guys, that's what I have. Didn't mean to go so long. Everyone's doing fantastic. Any questions at all? You know I'm right here. Get with me, and I will see you guys at discussion board. Thank you.